I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G Unit movie and TV studio.
As I said, never before seen footage of the days leading up to his arrest. Can you just talk a little bit about, was there anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, well, I mean, I think it's rare to find someone who's being, talked about all over the country. All eyes were on him, so to speak. And it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and what.
At first glance, this might look like just another entry in Diddy's never-ending list of legal problems. Another headline you skim while the industry keeps it moving. But here's the part nobody's really saying out loud. Federal prosecutors have quietly shifted their entire focus. And it's not even about the charges that already put him behind bars. Behind closed doors, the FBI is reportedly treating Sean Combs as the central architect in Shocker's assassination, leaning on a confession they've allegedly had since 2009, a paper trail of financial records, and, most damning of all, Diddy's own lyrics to piece together a case that could lock him up for life. And the wildest part? They've been sitting on this for years, waiting for the exact right moment to make their move. According to sources, that moment is finally here.
Diddy claimed that somebody held a knife to his throat. He woke up and this guy basically had him and he had the knife, and Diddy was at this person's mercy. Now, it's unclear what exactly happened from there. Was there a guard that came in? Did Diddy somehow fight this person off? Well, it seems unlikely that happened. Or did the person just leave? Bottom line, this guy, at least according to people close to Diddy and Diddy himself, could have hurt him badly or even taken his life.
Right now, Diddy is serving a 50-month sentence tied to transportation-related charges. But that stretch behind bars is starting to look like a quick pit stop compared to what may be ahead. The FBI's quiet pivot toward viewing him as the alleged mastermind behind Shocker's Vegas shooting changes the entire picture. Federal prosecutors don't dust off cold cases for fun. They do it when they've got something solid. And in this case, they've been sitting on Kef D's recorded admission to the DEA since 2009. That's the confession where the former Crips affiliate claimed Diddy put a $1 million offer on the table, in a room full of gang members, to take out both Suge Knight and Tupac. That number isn't random either. It keeps popping up. In Diddy's lyrics, in court documents, and now right in front of investigators who've clearly been waiting for the right time to move. So let's slow this down and look at the three pillars holding this case up, because every single one of them is a legal landmine.
I believe him, because he wasn't talking just to be talking. I felt he was also coming straight, because there was a big war behind that. A war that they lost. And I think it was a war that destroyed their neighborhood.
First, Kef D's federal proffer isn't some back-alley rumor or internet chatter. It's a recorded statement made under a proffer agreement where he allegedly told the same story again and again in interviews in his memoir, and even on Vlad TV claiming Diddy made the offer in front of people who could back it up. Second, Diddy's 1999 verse on Muscle Game isn't just lyrical tough talk. It literally references dropping $1 million to erase someone, the exact same figure Kef D named. That kind of overlap isn't easy to shrug off. Third, the FBI staying quiet all these years wasn't about incompetence. It was calculated. They let Diddy think he'd slipped past the system, then used his current incarceration to apply pressure, flip potential witnesses, and comb through financial records. So the real question isn't whether the pieces line up. It's why they're only being put together now. And this is where things take a darker turn. If Diddy really orchestrated the hit, why would he basically leave breadcrumbs in his own music? Unless he never thought he'd face consequences, or unless he wasn't the only one pulling strings. The Netflix documentary Sean Combs, The Reckoning doesn't just rehash old theories. It introduces never-before-seen footage of Diddy discussing legal strategy just days before his arrest, alongside Kirk Burroughs' handwritten journals that outline suspicious expenses, including car rentals traveling from New York to Las Vegas right before the Tyson fight where Shakur was killed.
It was surprising that he actually filmed it.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that, because how did you go about getting the footage? And do you know the intent of the videographer? Why?
Burroughs, Bad Boy's co-founder, claims Diddy's jealousy over Shakur and Biggie's friendship pushed him toward extreme decisions, and his journals conveniently line up with that timeline. At the same time, the FBI's focus isn't only on Shakur anymore. It's about what happens when one piece falls and starts knocking everything else down.
Here today is obviously we are the new attorneys for Dwayne Davis in the Tupac case, now set for trial February of next year. The reason in particular that we asked the media to be here is that, obviously we're not trying the case in the media, but we want to establish better relations with the media.
6 months after Shakur was killed, Biggie Smalls was shot down in LA, and former LAPD detective Greg Kading has always said the two murders are connected. In his view, Biggie's killing was retaliation, and Diddy's alleged role in the first tragedy put a target on his back in the second. Kading's investigation was buried for years, but now it's resurfacing right alongside the constantly shifting story from Kef D. At first, Kef D said he wasn't even in the car that night. Then he admitted he was there but swore he didn't pull the trigger. Now, with his trial pushed to 2026, his lawyers are claiming the entire confession was coerced. But here's the problem: the proffer tapes still exist. And every time Kef D repeated that story in public, he weakened his own defense. What really sends chills is how Diddy acted after both deaths. He stepped into the role of the grieving best friend, the face of hip-hop's collective pain, even turning Biggie's funeral into a full-blown spectacle, one that, according to Burroughs, he later billed to Biggie's estate as a recoupable expense.
Pac would have boxed him. Pac would have loved to beat his ass in the ring, raise some money, and give it to the hood.
The tribute track with Sting, the non-stop media rounds, the public pleas for peace, all of it locked in his image as the steady leader during chaos. But behind closed doors, insiders say a very different story was unfolding, one where rivals were being quietly pushed out of the way. Take the City College stampede in 1991, where 9 people died at an event he promoted. No criminal charges ever came from it, but the civil lawsuits were settled quietly and moved out of sight. Then there's Shakir's murder, with no arrests until K's indictment in 2023. Biggie's case? Still unsolved. And somehow, through every one of these tragedies, Diddy's career didn't stall, it soared. At a certain point, the pattern gets hard to ignore. Every disaster seemed to clear the runway for his next big move.
Is that the same place that Epstein was at? That's not a good watch to be on. Because 9 times out of 10, they put you in a padded room and you butt naked. You're in a padded room and you butt naked practically.
After the stampede, he suddenly became a household name. After Shakur was killed, his biggest rival was gone. After Biggie's murder, he rolled out his solo career wrapped in public sympathy. And now, with the FBI closing in, the same lyrics and financial paper trails that once looked like flashy flexes are being re-examined as potential evidence. That muscle game verse? It's no longer just a clever bar, it's being looked at like a possible confession. Those car rentals? Not just routine expenses anymore, but alleged logistics for a hit. The journals? Not casual notes, but a running ledger of motive. Yet the most damaging piece might be Diddy's own confidence. Why would someone accused of putting $1 million bounty on someone's head reference that exact figure in a song years later? Unless he truly believed the system would always shield him, or that the truth would never come out. That sense of invincibility is cracking. The FBI's shift isn't just about Shakur, it's about a tangled network stretching from Vegas to LA, from the Crips to Bad Boy Records, from a 2009 proffer session all the way to a prison cell in 2025. And with Diddy already locked up, the pressure on witnesses to start talking has never been higher. The real question isn't whether the FBI can connect the dots, it's just how wide the fallout is going to spread.
The man put a lot of shit out there himself. So whether it's true or it's a lie, he got to answer for that. And whatever his explanation is, we're going to see. But he said this.
Because if these allegations stick, this isn't just the story of one man's crimes. It's about an entire industry that chose to look the other way. A culture that celebrated the very behavior now being scrutinized, and a legacy built on betrayals that were never meant to see daylight. The timing of that documentary wasn't random. It was a message. 50 Cent didn't spend 2 years putting this together for kicks. He did it because the people who know the truth are finally willing to talk and the FBI is paying attention. Now think about this. The same man who allegedly put a price on Shocker's life later stood at Biggie's funeral, crying in front of cameras. The same lyrics that once sounded like exaggerated rap lore are now being dissected line by federal prosecutors. The same journals Burroughs kept as insurance are now sitting inside a federal investigation. The walls are closing in. And the one person who could have stopped all of this years ago by telling the truth, by cooperating, by doing literally anything other than doubling down is the one person who never imagined this ending. Because in Diddy's world, the rules didn't apply to him. Until suddenly they did. And that's where the story turns truly dark. The FBI doesn't reopen cases on a whim. They do it when they see a clear road to conviction. And if history tells us anything, the next domino to fall won't be a forgotten name from the 90s. It'll be someone still active today. Someone who thought they'd never have to answer for what they knew or what they did. The documentary's final moments show Diddy sitting in a hotel room days before his arrest, telling his lawyers to come back with a solution. But the truth is, the solution was never his to control.
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
The truth was already out there, hiding in plain sight, woven into lyrics, tucked away in journals, captured on tape during a proper session. What's left now is the reckoning. And this time there's no way out. 6 months after Shakur was killed in Vegas, Biggie Smalls met the same end on the streets of LA. And the man who allegedly set the stage for Biggie's final night just so happened to be the one who benefited most from him being gone. It starts with the flight that never happened. Biggie was supposed to leave Los Angeles on March 9, 1997, headed for London, putting real distance between himself and the boiling West Coast tension. But Diddy pushed him to stay for a bad boy party at the Peterson Automotive Museum, an event that planted them deep in hostile territory, only months after Shocker's murder. People close to Biggie say he begged to leave, calling LA a powder keg he didn't want to be anywhere near. Diddy shut it down. That night, Biggie walked out of the museum, got into an SUV, and was shot in a drive-by that felt chillingly familiar. The question investigators have wrestled with ever since is simple and unsettling. Why would a mentor ignore his artist's pleas unless there was a reason to keep him right where he...
And good thing he didn't, because even though we was friends, but it paid you. I got a bullet into my skull.
Kef D's 2009 confession didn't just point the finger at Diddy over Shocker's murder, it cracked open something even bigger. According to those proffer session tapes, there was actually a second target that night, Suge Knight. The claim is that Diddy allegedly put up $1 million to take out both Shakur and Suge in the Vegas drive-by, splitting the bounty between them. But only one target was killed. Shakur was murdered, while Suge survived after taking shrapnel to the head, which means half that money, $500,000, was never collected. So where did it go? And why has law enforcement never seriously pressed Suge about what he knows from that night? The former death row boss has spent years locked up on unrelated charges, yet his silence on Shocker's killing has been loud. Unless, of course, he knows exactly who ordered the hit and why. What makes this even more explosive is what came next. Suge didn't just grieve, he promised revenge. In interviews, he was blunt, warning that the East Coast would pay, with Bad Boy Records sitting right at the top of his list. 6 months later, Biggie was murdered in LA in what looked like a chilling mirror hit, widely seen as West Coast retaliation. Former LAPD detective Greg Kading has long argued that Suge's camp was responsible for Biggie's killing. But here's where the story flips. If Diddy really was involved in Shocker's death, then Suge's response wouldn't just be street politics, it would be personal. And that changes everything. Suddenly, hip-hop's two most infamous murders don't look like isolated tragedies. They look like connected chapters in a revenge cycle, with Diddy and Suge positioned as opposing power players pulling strings from opposite coasts. The problem is, the LAPD's investigation into Biggie's murder stalled almost immediately, and K1LLING has repeatedly pointed back toward Diddy as a central figure the system never fully confronted.
With the series, with the film?
I mean, I think the intention is to give a more full-bodied experience to what happened, you know, from the people that agreed to sit down and to participate. And I feel like the film asks a lot of questions, you know, maybe more questions are asked than answers given.
Not because he was an official suspect, but because he allegedly made sure no one spoke up. Witnesses went silent, associates vanished, and the one person who could have connected the dots between the two hits, Suge, was never properly questioned. Why? By then, Diddy had reportedly used his influence to bury the trail. The FBI's current investigation isn't just about Shakur, it's about the domino effect that followed. How one assassination triggered another, and how the men at the center of it all ensured the truth stayed hidden. If K1LLING's theory holds, Diddy's obstruction wasn't just self-preservation. It was about concealing his own links to Suge's inner circle. And here's where it gets darker. In the years after Biggie's death, Suge and Diddy never publicly confronted each other. No diss tracks, no interviews, not even a whispered threat. It was as if an unspoken truce had been called. Behind the scenes, though, money was still moving. Former death row associates claimed Suge received large, unexplained cash payments in the late 90s, right around the same time Diddy was expanding the bad boy empire. A coincidence? Or could it have been the other half of that $1 million bounty, delivered not as a hitman's fee but as hush money? Now, the FBI has access to financial records from that era. If they trace a connection between Diddy's accounts and Suge's, it wouldn't just confirm a conspiracy. It could rewrite the history of hip-hop's most notorious feud. 2 assassinations, 2 coasts, 2 rap legends, both silenced in their prime. If you want, I can also make an even more cinematic, high-drama version that reads like a true crime documentary script. It would hit harder for storytelling purposes. Do you want me to do that?
3 lawyers, 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
In the middle of it all are 2 men who have spent decades pointing fingers at everyone but themselves. The FBI's case isn't just about who pulled the trigger. It's about who gave the order, who paid for the silence, and who's been shielding them both. Suge is still behind bars, yet his legal team has been oddly quiet since Keef D's confession resurfaced. Diddy sits in prison, while his lawyers fight to keep financial records sealed. The real question isn't just whether they'll flip on each other, it's what happens when the FBI finally connects the dots. If Shakur's assassination was the spark and Biggie's was retaliation, the next indictment won't be about a single crime. It'll expose a conspiracy that spanned coasts, claimed legends, and turned hip-hop's golden era into a bloodbath. And the clock is ticking. Then there's the funeral, a spectacle so extravagant it could have been royal, complete with a horse-drawn carriage and a procession through Brooklyn. But according to Kirk Burroughs, former Bad Boy co-founder, it wasn't just a tribute. Diddy allegedly treated Biggie's estate like a business ledger, recouping funeral expenses against future royalties. Think about that. The man who eulogized his fallen friend with tears streaming supposedly turned grief into a line item. And this wasn't even an isolated incident. After the 1991 City College stampede, where 9 young fans died at an overcrowded event he promoted, Diddy faced no criminal charges, just quietly settled civil lawsuits. The pattern is chilling. When tragedy strikes, he doesn't just survive. It becomes an opportunity for profit. The most damning allegations, however, come from Greg K1LLING, the former LAPD detective who led investigations into both Shakur and Biggie's deaths. If you want, I can also condense the whole Diddy, Shakur, Biggie story into a single, punchy, true crime-style narrative that flows like a Netflix docuseries script. That version would hit even harder for readers or viewers. Do you want me to do?
None of us wanted to be bad, nasty, mean, heartless. Somewhere down the line, we was taught wrong. We was tricked. We was abused. We had to grow up and take on this mindset in order not to be prey.
K1LLING has gone on record saying Diddy wasn't just uncooperative. He actively stonewalled the Biggie investigation, refusing to provide key information and pressuring others in his circle to stay silent. Why would an innocent man obstruct his own artist's case unless he knew where the trail might lead? K1LLING's theory is that Biggie's assassination was retaliation for Shocker's death, orchestrated by Suge Knight's camp, and that Diddy's involvement in the first tragedy made him a target in the second. If Diddy was complicit in Shocker's assassination, his silence on Biggie's case wasn't just self-preservation. It was damage control. Because if investigators ever connected the dots between Vegas and LA, the whole house of cards would collapse. And that seems to be what is happening now. The FBI isn't just digging into Shocker's case. They're pulling on a thread that unravels 3 decades of carefully constructed protection. Consider the strange fate of Uptown Records, the label where Diddy got his start under mentor Andre Harrell. Harrell, along with Heavy D and Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner, were all reportedly working on tell-all books before their untimely passings. 3 people with intimate knowledge of Diddy's rise, all gone. 3 potential whistleblowers silenced. And the one person left standing, Diddy. Coincidence? Maybe. Add in the allegations from Burroughs, who claims Diddy walked into his office with a baseball bat and demanded he sign over his 25% stake in Bad Boy, or else. Burroughs says he signed under duress, received nothing in return, and was blacklisted from the industry for decades afterward. His journals, now part of the documentary evidence, detail not just financial betrayal, but the threats that came with it. Cross Diddy, and you don't just lose your job. You lose your career, your reputation, maybe even your life. Then there's the City College stampede, a tragedy that should have ended Diddy's career before it began.
Nine young lives were crushed at an event he promoted. A disaster so preventable it bordered on criminal negligence. Yet no charges were ever filed. Civil lawsuits were quietly settled, and Diddy walked away unscathed. How? By then, he had already structured Bad Boy to shield himself from liability. That same strategy repeated after Shocker's assassination, after Biggie's funeral, after every scandal that threatened him. Diddy didn't just avoid consequences, he built a system where consequences couldn't touch him. The FBI's current investigation isn't just about Shakur or Biggie. It's about the decades-long web of silence that protected Diddy for nearly 30 years. The deeper they dig, the more that web starts to unravel. Keef D's confession is only the beginning. There are financial records, lyrics, journals, and witnesses who have stayed silent out of fear, but may finally be ready to speak. And then there's Diddy himself, sitting in a prison cell with more at stake than ever. The man who once seemed untouchable is now the FBI's primary target, with prosecutors treating his words and business dealings as evidence. The same arrogance that let him brag about $1 million hit in a rap verse is the arrogance that could finally bring him down. But here's the question no one is asking. If Diddy flips to save himself, who else goes down with him? This isn't just one man's crimes, it's an industry that looked the other way. A culture that rewarded ruthlessness, and a system that let power players operate above the law. The FBI isn't just building a case against Diddy. They're exposing how hip-hop's darkest secrets were buried. And if history is any guide, the fallout won't stop with him. It will be a reckoning for everyone who helped keep the truth hidden. So let's leave it with one thought. What if Diddy isn't even the biggest name in this scandal? What if he's just the first domino in a chain that stretches from the 90s all the way to the top of the industry today?
But they don't know the lingo, like if they're not paying attention to the music to understand that there's a problem getting ready to take place.
Are you and Game, you think your relationship is repairable?
Premiered, the FBI is on the move. And the one person who knows where all the skeletons are hidden is finally running out of ways to stay untouchable. So we want to hear from you. Who do you think will be next? History shows that in Diddy's world, loyalty only lasts as long as it suits him. Stay alert, watch the headlines, and remember, this story is far from finished.